Madam Clerk, are we ready to go?
RPVTV, are we good?
Okay.
And I believe you're all set, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I'll call this meeting in order at 7:08 PM. I get a roll call, please.
Certainly, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ferraro, Councilmember Lewis,
Here.
Councilmember Peristam,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Seo,
Here.
Mayor Bradley via Zoom.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor. Our next item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Today, we will have Octavio lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Our next item is the closed session report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. The council had a full hour of closed session discussion tonight. The first item on discussion was whether to consider initiating litigation in two cases. The council spent the evening discussing litigation alternatives. Questions were asked and answered. Staff was requested to assemble and report back with additional information, but no reportable action was taken. With respect to the second closed session agenda item involving real property negotiations, the city council authorized the city manager and the city attorney to explore the acquisition of certain real property whose assessor parcel number is 7572010027. And I would add that all 5 members of the city council participated in the closed session. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you very much. Next item, please.
We do not have any mayor's announcements, so we can move to, we will need a vote to move approval of the recycle and emergency personal preparedness kit drawing winners Tara Aviel and Sanjay Selly. So if I may have a motion, only because Mayor Bradley is, of course, via Zoom.
Can I get a motion for approval, please?
Also move.
I'll take that as a second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ferraro,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Peristam,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seo,
Yes.
Mayor Bradley.
Yes.
Motion passes. With that, we can move to the approval of the agenda.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Ferraro,
Yes.
Councilmember Peristam,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seo,
Yes.
Mayor Bradley.
Yes.
Motion passes. With that, we can move to our public comments for non-agenda items. I do have 2 requests to speak. My first speaker is Nikki Nushkam.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the council and the staff. I'm here because about a month ago, I came in front of the council and I mentioned the property tax situation for the homes that have been impacted by the landslide. I asked at the time, and I'm going to ask again, for the city council and the staff to consider sending a written letter to the LA County tax assessor to ask about the status and what is going on with regards to our property tax reduction. After my last council attendance regarding this topic, I got a call from Mr. David Weekly saying that we are working on it. We are still waiting. The deadline is April 10th. As I mentioned in my last time that I came in front of the council about this topic, those who are victims of the fires, they have received extension because of the calamity, that they will not be facing penalty if they are late in paying their taxes. I am just asking the council to please help us. Mr. Prang was out here in front of this council almost 6 months ago, pledging to us and to the council and the staff his utmost support to reduce our taxes and reassess our properties. That has yet to happen. And I, for one, I am not planning on paying my second property tax, and I look forward to any attempt by anyone to try to increase my property taxes, levy fines on me, or try to take advantage of the situation. So please communicate in writing and ask for a response. Thank you.
Our
Mr.
next-
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may add some, I have had conversations since the speaker approached the council about a month ago. In fact, I've been contacted by a dozen or so residents in the same situation. They've all filed applications for a decline in value. And so I've reached out to Assessor Prang, and what is being conveyed to me is those applications are still under review, and a determination maybe a few months out on the decline in value. Every property owner is being advised to pay their property tax by April 10th so that they're not assessed a penalty. And what will happen is when a determination is made and the decline in value is granted, they will get a credit or a reimbursement on that paid taxes. So in fact, today I sent another email out to Assessor Prang's office in response to a resident in the Portuguese Bend community asking that same thing. So my advice anyway.
And,
You please.
and Mr. City Manager, in addition to you, I have also corresponded with Assessor Prang's office as well, asking for quick resolution of this item.
And we can certainly put something in writing and just memorialize it in writing. But the advice that I've been getting is to pay your taxes by April 10th.
Okay, and just for the public's edification, I'll make a ping as well. And I know Mayor Bradley's reached out, but we'll put some heat on this so that it gets moved quickly.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, why are our people being told to pay it and the people that suffered under the fires getting extensions?
Yeah, I couldn't comment. I haven't been asking questions about those impacted by the wildfires, what their situation is. I'm following what's happening with our city, and I'll certainly put something in writing and express that concern.
Yeah, and I'll follow up after a meeting as well, make sure that that message gets across. Okay,
Okay.
Yep.
next speaker, please.
Is Jonathan Jung via Zoom?
Mr. Chung, are you there?
I'm here, but I probably accidentally hit something to indicate that I'll be speaking. I just wanted to attend, that's all it is. Thank
Okay,
you.
Got it. Thank you.
No further speakers, Mayor Pro Tem.
Next agenda item, please.
Is that approval of the agenda?
No, we did that already.
It's our city manager's report.
Correct.
Mayor Pro Tem and city council members and our viewing audience. Thank you. I thought I hit the button. So where I'd like to start with my city manager's report is on the town hall that we had on the wildfire preparedness that happened on it was February 20th. So if we can go to the next slide. So this town hall was specific to the residents to inform the residents, and I believe we had 3 council members. I know Councilman Peristam was there, Mayor Pro Tem Seo, and Mayor Bradley was there. And this was one of the best attended town halls that the city has had. We had over 200 residents that participated, and we had 100 people in this room. We had about another 100 people following it on Zoom. I want to give a special shout out to the fire department that was there. We had the sheriff's department that was there. We had SCE. I know Selena's in the room. She spoke. We had the water district, the Metropolitan Water District was there, the West Basin, as well as Cal Water, to talk about all the questions that were being asked since the wildfires that happened in January. It was such valuable information was given that we videotaped it. It was broadcasted live on YouTube. We received approximately 100 questions from the public on a variety of topics, on brush clearance, on removing eucalyptus trees, on the fire hydrants, on the water reservoir. All that information is available on the city's website. We've responded to all the questions because we ran out of time at that town hall to provide responses to the questions. So we posted that on the city's website. I strongly advise residents to watch the video. It's about a 2-hour town hall, but there's a lot of valuable information, a lot of questions answered. It's available on the YouTube and the RPV channel 33. So I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to recap what occurred at that wildfire preparedness town hall. On a second note, I know Assemblymember Mirasucci is expressed a concern, a desire to have a peninsula-wide town hall on wildfire preparedness as well. And that is tentatively scheduled for April 26th. It's a Saturday, it'll be in the morning, and we'll provide more information as that becomes available.
Will that be here?
Yes, the plan is to have that here on Saturday, April 26th. Next slide. So it's just speaking, following on public safety, I wanted to bring to the community's attention that 2 meetings ago, the council approved us moving forward in releasing a survey to ask the community what are their priorities in terms of public safety wants. And as you know, we are in the process of forming a public safety division. We have our public safety manager in the audience this evening. It's a very short survey that we're asking you, what are your concerns? What do you prioritize in terms of public safety? Is it theft and burglary? Is it drugs and alcohol? Is it homelessness? It's a quick 3-question survey. You can scan it using your phone on a QR code. It's live now. We're asking that the community complete that survey by March 31st. So that's live right now. Next slide. And it's budget season. And as you know, in budget season, one of the first workshops, we usually have 3 workshops as we prepare the budget for the next fiscal year, which is fiscal year 25-26. But we always kick off budget season with a goals workshop. And the idea is we want to look at our goals that are currently in place, assess those goals, and determine what goals need to be reset or continued for the next fiscal year. And that always sets the tone in terms of how do we budget these goals and what type of funding is available to implement these goals. So our first workshop is going to be Monday, March 17th here at Hess Park at 6 p.m. If you're interested, please come. You could participate in person or you could participate via Zoom. It's a hybrid meeting as well. Next slide. And I just want to bring this to the community's attention. The first Sunday of every month, we have partnered with Pedro Pets to have a pet adoption. We do it at Eastview Park. And this past Sunday, March 2nd, we had one of the I think it was our record-breaking pet adoption. We had 6 dogs adopted and 3 cats. I just wanted to highlight that because anyone who's looking for a pet, these adoptions happen the first Sunday of every month and is a great way to rescue our puppies and cats out there. So next slide. And as you may recall, one of the programs that came out of the city council goals was to roll out a program to benefit our businesses on Western Avenue. And so the council allocated $100,000 for a storefront grant program. And last council meeting, you approved 4 grant applications to fund for businesses improvements along Western Avenue. Well, there's still money left. And so what we've decided to do is between now and June 30th is roll out a second round of the Western Avenue storefront improvement program. And what this program will focus is on landscaping, so we can help try to beautify the corridor and the street along our commercial corridor. So applications are being accepted through March 28th, and we will then bring back those grants to the council for your consideration. And by the way, the funding, it ranges between $5,000 to $20,000. So it's a pretty substantial amount of money that could be put towards storefront landscaping. Next slide.
Excuse me, I have a question. Is that per business or per building that would have several businesses?
It varies. There are different tiers. The funding is broken down based on, it could be an individual building or it could be a shopping center. And more money would be allocated towards a shopping center versus an individual building.
Because there's a lot going on over there right now.
Yes, yes. And so we want to try to encourage some more greenscaping and landscaping along the corridor as part of the beautification project. Next slide. And it's hard to believe, but A Whale of a Day is right around the corner, and it's actually going to be our 40th anniversary, and it's scheduled, provided that there's no rain, it's going to be Saturday, April 12th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Interpretive Center. It's always a very memorable event, and this year is going to be by far the most memorable, considering we're celebrating 40 years of Whale of a Day. And if it happens to rain that day, the rain event would then happen on April 26th, the same day as the tentative date for the wildfire town hall by Assemblymember Mirasucci. Next slide. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that March is Women History Month, and of course, Saturday, March 8th is International Women's Day. We just want to take this moment to recognize and celebrate all the contributions of all women that have made towards our community and our society. Next slide. And for those who celebrate Ramadan, we are in the month of Ramadan. I want to wish all those observing a very happy, joyful, peaceful, and goodwill towards Ramadan Mubarak. Next slide. And of course, Monday, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Don't forget to wear green that day so you don't get pinched. And of course, the next slide, this is, I know many people it's not very popular, but it's daylight savings this weekend. And I always like daylight savings because we have more time in the day. So don't forget to spring your clocks forward. And that concludes my report. But this evening, every quarter, we ask the captain from the Lomita station, Captain Guerrero, to give a public safety quarter report. And so she'll be reporting out for the quarter of October through December 2024. So I'll hand over the presentation to the captain. And it's built into my slide deck if you want to put my slide deck back on. There we go.
Okay, hello and good evening. I'll present this year's year-end crime stats for 2024. The objective of this is a comprehensive report, is to provide residents with more information on aspects of crime and enforcement that are of greater interest. Ultimately, the goal of all crime reporting is to empower the communities with meaningful and accurate information with which they can articulate their public safety priorities. I'll discuss crime trends in the communities and inform the best applications of resources to address them. It is important to understand that crime and traffic statistics only capture a fraction of what our deputies do on a daily basis. Our deputies are very proactive in patrolling and responding to a wide range of incidents, from medical emergencies, search and rescue, suspicious activity reports, and false alarms. The majority of these incidents, which are never recorded as crimes, demonstrate our deputies' commitment to keeping our community safe. We can go to the first slide. So to better understand our traffic stats, we had a total of 147 traffic collisions, and of those, 55 were involved injuries. 4 of them were DUI related, and there were 0 fatalities in the city of RPV. Our deputies issued 765 hazardous citations and 207 non-hazardous cites for the year. The difference between the hazard and non-hazardous is the hazardous sites are moving violations opposed to the non-moving violations, such as expired registration, tinted windows, et cetera. The deputies also made 17 DUI-related arrests for the year, which shows they're out there being vigilant and keeping the streets safe from drunk drivers. Next slide. So on this slide, it looks like we had the most traffic collisions in July, in the month of July, which could be due to the kids being out for summer vacation, which means more people on the roadways. Third slide. So on this slide, it shows April, May, and August were our busiest month due to traffic operations that we did have from complaints. We did receive complaints from residents. So we organized operations and focused our efforts on those areas specifically. Next slide. Next slide. So part 1 crimes is probably the most important for the communities and the most interested that they would likely want to know. Part 1 crimes are those that are most likely to be reported and most likely to occur with sufficient frequency, and that's the difference between the part 1 and part 2 crimes. So in RPV, they had, if you go to the next slide, 0 homicides for the year. There are 3 rape reports, 3 rapes reported, which is a decrease from last year, which they had 5 last year. There are only 4 robberies compared to 10 last year in 2023. There are 25 assaults, which was a decrease from last year where there were 35 assaults. 18 burglaries from structures, meaning those are from like Target or any businesses, compared to 24 from last year. 55 vehicle burglaries compared to 69 from last year. 28 thefts from vehicles compared to 31 last year. And 96 other larceny theft compared to 100 from last year. And the arson stats stay the same. So altogether, if you just look at that overall was a decrease in crime. So our deputies are out there being vigilant and patrolling the areas and being proactive, taking people to jail. So although crime in RPV remains comparatively low, crime trends including car thefts at 49 and residential burglaries at 85 are both increases from last year, which have increased the overall crime stats. Our Station Detective Bureau cleared many of these car thefts and residential burglary cases in 2024 by making numerous arrests. And residents are reminded to stay aware of when they park their car, where they park their cars, and ensure that they are locked, and to safeguard their homes by installing motion lighting and exterior cameras and calling the station when they are on vacation so we can ensure their homes are safe during their vacations. Also, we ask that they remain vigilant within their communities and consistently report suspicious activity. This slide. So this just shows, obviously, what I just went over, showing the increases in the residential burglaries and the grand theft autos from the area. Next slide. So part 2 crimes, concerning our part 2 crimes, if you look at the next slide, it'll show that fraud is the highest number. So we ask that you do not provide personal identifying information such as social security numbers and bank account information. Fraudsters will request such things as converting your cash to gift cards or cryptocurrency. They will identify themselves as government officials or family members. They will demand payment while threatening to stop your benefits or because you have a warrant for your arrest. If you remain unsure about a particular phone call or email, please contact the station before sending any personal identifying information or money. 6th slide. So even with our staff levels at an all-time low, we still managed to keep the response times way below the department target times. And I just want to say one thing, our station deeply appreciates the community's active involvement in maintaining our exceptionally low crime rate and high quality of life. Our partnership with you is crucial, and we are committed to working effectively with citizens, community partners, and business owners. So for any more information on crime prevention, please feel free to call the station anytime. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does city council members have any questions?
I do. Actually, it's a comment. Ara, your first topic about the town hall on fire safety and the one coming up. Since that time, I think all the residents received their letter from the fire department, county fire. And in the previous 2 years, that letter's been confusing to the point where the city, I believe, published a letter, posted on the website to make some clarifications. This letter's better, but there's a lot here and it is not totally consistent as well. So my suggestion is if we have input to what's going to be the agenda for the city, for the peninsula-wide event with Assemblymember Marsucci, I would make sure that this is part of the discussion because it's going to come up anyway. So you might as well get ahead of the curve and clarify the points that are not exactly right.
Certainly, I'll make sure that gets included.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No. Mayor Bradley? Okay. Next agenda item, please.
Is the consent calendar?
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Peristamp,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Ferraro,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seo,
Yes.
Mayor Bradley.
Yes.
Motion passes. With that, we can move to our first item under the public hearing matter.
Thank you very
Considering-
much.
Forgive me. Consideration and possible action to conduct the 2024 Green Hills Memorial Park Conditional Use Permit Compliance Review, case number PLCU 2025-0001. Notice of the public hearing was duly published. Late correspondence was distributed earlier, and I do not have any requests to speak. However, the applicant, Mr. Resich, is here for questions.
Got it. Thank you very much. At this time, I declare the public hearing open. Staff report.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. The presentation this evening will be provided by Senior Planner Amy Serrati.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. As stated, the project before you this evening is a request to receive and file a report finding that Green Hills Memorial Park was in compliance with its conditional use permit during the 2024 calendar year. As you can see here, this is the overall site map. This was a map notated by staff per City Council resolution in 2016. Staff believes that Green Hills is in compliance with the salient action items that were listed in the staff report. This included processing of a development application pursuant to the conditions of approval, attending at least one neighborhood advisory committee meeting per year, as well as submitting the required permits from the various agencies. There are several operational items that Green Hills is required to comply with. A few items that were mentioned in the staff report that came up during the Neighborhood Advisory Committee meeting that was held in December of last year were regarding noise and security. Green Hills does continue to have security patrol the site, and as well as has a live security person that is available via phone 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. In terms of construction, Green Hills has continued to maintain the site using water trucks and complying with the conditions of approval in regards to hours of construction as well. As the council did see, staff, in the staff report, staff did receive an email from a resident on February 20th expressing concerns about possible fire danger from what appeared to be dead foliage in several of the eucalyptus trees close to the administration building on the property. Staff did relay this concern to Green Hills, and the trees were trimmed 4 days later, and the late correspondence was the photograph sent by the resident emailing to express his thanks. And here you can see the before pictures of the trees and the after pictures, and Green Hills does use an arborist to trim the trees to ensure their health. Additionally, the moving wall is a traveling half-size replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. As mentioned in the staff report, it will be coming up and visiting the site in May 2025. It will be available for public visitation, no more than 10 calendar days. And it also is subject to several conditions that were approved by the City Council as part of a CUP revision or a conditional use permit revision that was approved in 2020. So all that being said, staff does recommend that the City Council receive and file a report finding that the park was in compliance with their CUP number 155 in the year 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Does City Council have any questions of Amy? No questions. Mayor Bradley, any questions?
Take myself off mute. I do have a question of staff. And this may be for the city manager, and this is not the first question I've asked, I've asked the question. When can we remand the Green Hills CUP review back to the Planning Commission?
You cannot. The jurisdictional responsibility of the CUP lies at the final deciding body. That's per the municipal code. And because the City Council was the final deciding body on an appeal, all decisions from that point forward lies in the jurisdiction of the City Council. You can always ask the Planning Commission to review something on an advisory basis, but not in their jurisdiction, because the resolution was adopted by the City Council.
Can't we unresolute it?
I don't think so.
You changed the code. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. At this time, do we have any public testimony?
I don't believe the applicant, unless there were questions for Mr. Resich.
I don't. Hi, Nick. You want to just say something real quick?
Just thank you. Nice to see new faces. Love being involved in the city and anything we could do to help. So if you have any questions, I'm here, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I guess I do have one comment, Mayor Pro Tem, before we move off
Yes,
this
Mr.
item,
Mayor.
but so I came on to the Planning Commission and City Council when things were a little bit more contentious with Green Hills. I'd like to commend Green Hills for complying with the CUP. I know they've gone through some leadership changes and really working with the city as a partner, and it's been much less contentious over the last several years. Certainly, I believe the residents in the Vista Verde Homeowners Association and that neighbor the park have been much more, felt like they've been involved. So I want to thank the Green Hills leadership for working with both the city as well as the local residents and really changing the entire attitude of what's going on there. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions of Nick or anything before he takes off? No? No questions? Okay.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
I gotta close first.
Oh, sorry. You got to close it. Sorry. Close it.
Declare the hearing closed, please.
Okay.
And can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Ferraro,
Yes.
Councilmember Peristam,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seo,
Yes.
Mayor Bradley.
Yes.
Motion passes. With that, we can move to our regular business item number 2. Consideration and possible action to affirm the engineering design of short-term traffic calming measures on Miralles Drive and Palos Verdes Drive East. Late correspondence was distributed earlier, and I do not have any requests to speak.
Thank you. Can we have staff report?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I'll present the staff report this evening, and I have with me also Rawad Hani with GTS, who is the company, the traffic engineering company that did the traffic work associated with this item. I'd like to start with just providing some brief background as a refresher to the council, particularly to the new council members, about the traffic issues on at Mayor Lest and PV Drive East. This actually goes back a number of years with complaints from the public and the HOA about a number of traffic issues, primarily dealing with speeding and increased collisions. As a result, staff commissioned a traffic study by GTS, and the recommendations of that traffic study were presented to the Traffic Safety Committee, and then the Traffic Safety Committee made recommendations to the City Council, which the City Council approved in January of 2024. Just briefly as a refresher of those measures, primary focus was redesigning the street cross sections to be narrower to reduce speeds, and using that additional width for bicycle lanes, buffer areas, et cetera. A number of high visibility crosswalks, marked crosswalks, were added at the locations shown on your screen. A rapid flashing beacon was recommended for PV Drive East at Marion. And finally, advisory traffic signs, as well as continued traffic law enforcement. The staff, after City Council's approval, worked through a consultant on creating engineered plans for implementation of the recommended measures. However, during a City Council meeting where a flagging services contract was presented for renewal, then Mayor Cruikshank asked if traffic signals could reduce the cost of flagging operations and what the impact would be from a traffic perspective. I want to just emphasize that that contract was for flagging services and not crossing guard services. And so that's a distinction that I want to make sure I'm clear on. As part of the traffic study, there was an analysis done of traffic signals, and the traffic consultant supported by the Traffic Safety Committee recommended not implementing traffic signals as a short-term measure, but rather considering them as a long-term measure should they be necessary after implementation of other short-term and long-term traffic calming measures. The staff performed a cost trade-off, and although there appears to be a financial cost benefit with traffic signals over flagging services, staff recommendation is to consider traffic signals at a future date upon completion of the traffic calming measures first. And implementing the traffic calming measures does not preclude signals in the future. In conclusion, staff recommends, now that the engineering plans are complete for the traffic calming measures, incorporating those plans into the fiscal 25-26 CIP pavement project. And that's because the pavement treatment, if it were to come after the traffic calming measures, much of the measures are pavement markings and things like that. That would create rework, which would be obviously inefficient. So we'd want to combine them. There could be some efficiencies and benefits in terms of just overhead costs, project management costs, mobilization, things like that. So we recommend incorporating them together, monitoring the effectiveness, and then considering signals at a future date should they be necessary. I'll note that there might be some measures that we could implement outside of the pavement project. Some signs and flashing beacons and things like that could potentially be done separately with very minimal rework or none at all. So we'll consider those measures if they can be done. That concludes my presentation this evening.
Thank you, Ramsey. Are there any questions from City Council members? Yes.
So this is a tangential question maybe on the repaving project. I wasn't here when this first started, but I do live on that side of the hill and was approached by a constituent about the safety of bicyclists on PV Drive East on the switchbacks. And I'm sure that's a topic that's come up before, but what the constituent suggested to me is that if only we could just widen the shoulder a few feet even, on PV Drive East in certain areas, it would create a little more room for bicyclists and reduce hazard for them. I don't know how possible that is due to, there's a slope on one side often and maybe private property on the other, but has consideration been given to that and could that be considered as part of the repaving project? Could there be work expanded to just add a little space to the road to make room for cyclists?
That's something we can analyze. We have not done a detailed analysis of that yet. I could only give you my opinion based on a windshield view, but I think it'd be more appropriate for us to take some time to do that analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Parasam.
I didn't even look up. Thank you. I have something very, very specific that I'd like, if it's not already included, because on page 3, there's 6 bullets and recommendations, but I didn't know if it was included under the first or second one. When you're traveling northbound on PV Drive East and you reach the turn right between Marilest Automotive and the fire station, people for 40 years firsthand cut through there to cut off the driver in front of them that's making the regular turn a few hundred yards up on the PV Drive, on the Marilest Drive. So it's a hypotenuse on the triangle. So they cut through Marilest Plaza and try to beat that vehicle to get in front of them. One, it's obviously dangerous. And two, it's something that just can create, and I don't know if we have any data on accidents of that occurring, but I think we're putting ourselves in a bad spot. So I have something, suggestion to look at if it's not already been one of the specific recommendations. And that is, if we can do something with that curb, and what I'm talking about is the curb there in the southeast corner on Marilest Automotive. If you look at it, it's an ADA sidewalk. There's a fire hydrant right there as well, and there's a sign right there. If there could be something added to make that a little less attractive to making that cut through, that would slow drivers down and give them a second thought to try to outrace that car in front of them, I think that would be worthwhile, and it would certainly would address the concerns, because I've been approached by many people on this over the years, in addition to seeing it myself. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for trading.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments? You're on mute.
I apologize. No comments.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Ferraro, nothing?
No.
Oh, got it. Please.
Yeah, so second question for me for staff, that's slightly different topic, but returning to the signals, being pretty familiar with that area because that's nearer to where I live. Are the signals, you suggested there could be some financial savings, but wouldn't that savings presume that flagging services would be unnecessary?
That's correct.
And I kind of, in my mind, would question that, because the main issue there is it's twice a day for 2/3 of the year when school's in session. Otherwise, at least leaving aside the section that Steve was talking about, but I'm talking about the Marilest school exit. I would think the signals would probably not be adequate to cover the safety of the students, whereas flaggers are pretty good at that. And if we need the flaggers and the signals are redundant, I would just ask that that be thought through. I mean, we're not at that stage yet, but it seems to me we'd be spending money twice.
Certainly, we would think that through. And again, our recommendation at this point is to implement the traffic calming measures. I think we'd need a much deeper analysis of the implications on traffic, because we're talking about the financial savings. We have some other things that we'd want to factor in terms of delay times. We'd need a deeper dive. We could certainly do that if council would like. Our recommendation at this point is not to do that just yet.
Completely fair. Thank you.
Ramsey, quick question. When are you guys going to start the calming plans?
The traffic calming plans have been engineered, and so the next step is to engineer the pavement project and incorporate those into that. That pavement project engineering will take somewhere in the 6 to 9 month range.
Okay, got it.
Probably closer to the 6 month.
Got it. Thank you. Are there any other questions? No? Can I get a motion, please?
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Can I get a second? Oh, no, yeah. Nice. Can I get a second? No speakers.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Councilmember Peristamp,
Yes.
Councilmember Ferraro,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seo,
Yes.
Mayor Bradley.
Yes.
Motion passes. With that, we can move to our item number 3, consideration and possible action to grant a time extension to Southern California Edison, SCE, for its temporary power pole located at the Ladera Linda Community Center. Late correspondence was distributed, and I do have 2 requests to speak.
Thank you.
And good evening, Mr. Mayor, and Mayor Pro Tem. Before I hand over the microphone to the Public Works Director, who will explain the details behind this report, this agenda item is solely to authorize staff to grant a 3-month extension so that we can continue to review proposed plans and come up with an acceptable solution to the box loop circuit at Ladera Linda. As you know, there was a temporary power pole that was installed there in response to the landslide and the power shutoff. So I'm going to hand over the presentation to the Public Works Director, who will get into more of the details.
Thank you.
Good evening again. I'll start with a brief, again, refresher on the background on this item. In response to land movement compromising power poles on the west side of Dauntless and Admirable, SCE began what was at the time unpermitted work to install a power pole at Ladera Linda to reroute the power to the homes on the north side of Dauntless to get the power route away from the west side of Dauntless Admirable, where the land movement was occurring and compromising those poles. The city then issued a retroactive temporary permit for the pole, while the city and SCE worked on suitable locations for permanent placement of infrastructure to reroute that power away from the what was then the land movement area. SCE proposed 2 permanent options in no particular order. One was running along Dauntless up to the drainage swales above Dauntless and then down an existing route near Schooner with the addition of 2 poles in that area. Option 2 was running new overhead poles along Forestall and Mainsail and going down to the north side of Dauntless. The city, in response to these proposed options, engaged with our consultants as we typically do, talked to construction contractors to evaluate the SCE options, and through those conversations, 2 additional alternatives were brought to light. One of those is to use undergrounding and take advantage of the poles on the north side of Dauntless at the staircase up to Ladera Linda, and then underground in that area as shown on the screen to connect to 1 new pole and then tie into existing infrastructure. And then another alternative is similar alignment, but with overhead instead. At this time, the city staff and our consultants are working with SCE to assess these alternatives and recommend extending and authorizing a 3-month extension to the temporary permit for the Ladera Linda pole until a permanent location is finalized. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ramsey. Councilman Ferraro, question.
So basically, right now, you're just asking for an extension of time to consider the possibilities, right?
That's right. We need more time to work with SCE through the options and bring a recommendation back.
Okay.
Any questions? Councilmember Lewis.
Sure. I think, in my view, more time would be welcome, especially if we could find a way to persuade them to underground. I know their position is that they're not an undergrounding power company, but we're in a high fire risk area, and it would probably be to their benefit from a risk management standpoint. I would just urge us to try to continue to pursue that as best we can, and in the hopes that they might take that on.
Understood, and we will do that.
Thank you. Mayor Bradley, any questions? Heard you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Our first speaker is Nikki Nushkam.
Hi, Nikki.
Hello, council and staff. So with regards to this item and routing the power from Ladera Linda, bless you.
Bless you.
Sorry.
It's okay. Routing the power from Ladera Linda. Just like Councilmember Lewis said, I think it's worthwhile really considering in the future for the council to look at a potential resolution that when it comes to power upgrades by Edison, that they have to explore options of undergrounding. The reason I say that is I read the staff report. I know that they are, putting additional coatings on their wires to try to make them, fire resistance and whatnot. But let's be honest, being exposed to elements, that material after 20, 30 some odd years, it will degrade. And given that we are in a high fire zone, given that we have had a history in the peninsula of fires starting because of electrical infrastructure, it's, I think, very prudent to put something together that would ask for any upgrades for undergrounding to be evaluated whenever Edison wants to do something. So that's my ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Next speaker.
Our next speaker is Dr. Kit Song via Zoom.
Hello, were you able to hear me?
I got you, Kit. How are you?
Okay, I'm doing very well. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words here. And I first of all want to say to both the city and SCE on behalf of the community, thank you for the very expeditious implementation of the box loop that was put in at the beginning of all of this, because that was a very rapid restoration of power to the neighborhood, which is much appreciated. My only ask is twofold for the council to consider. One is staff did indicate that one possible extension was also to go to 6 months. And what I would say is based upon staff's assessment of how long it's going to take them to resolve this, don't be afraid to extend it out to 6 months because the current situation is working. And I think rather than try to rush a solution, it'd be better to take the time to ponder that and not force a timetable that you don't necessarily have to execute on. The second consideration is I'm not sure which of the options as outlined would have the optimal ability to restore power to the last few homes along Dauntless, because there are 3 homes that are still not energized along Dauntless towards the end of the road there. And whether any of the options would allow a better opportunity to extend electricity to those homes, to me would be a priority, I think, from the neighborhood standpoint. And to please take that under consideration when you're looking at the various options that SCE and the city are considering here. So that's all I have, and we strongly support the idea of the extension here because nobody wants to see power cut off to the homes that are currently energized. Thank you.
Thank you, Kit. Any other speakers?
No further speakers, Mayor Pro Tem.
Actually, we have one more, Selena Luna. Hi,
Good
Selena.
evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. Selena Luna with Southern California Edison. We're glad to be here tonight to continue the conversation with the city and with you as the council. I think you guys brought up some very good points. We are in the process of reviewing the 2 alternatives that the city suggested. I do also believe that it would be very prudent to extend to 6 months because we will need time to review, to engineer, to implement, and to be able to bring back a workable solution. I can assure you the 2 options we presented are workable today. We are still reviewing the options provided by the city to see if those could be feasible. We understand the concerns that were brought up today. I will take that back to my team, but I want to thank you guys for continuing to work with us.
Are there any questions for Ms. Luna? No. Ms. Luna, I have a couple questions. It was brought up about undergrounding. Can you just for the public's edification in terms of undergrounding, what the options are, and I guess in terms of what we can do and how you guys are going to do it, if you can explain, can you do it, and what are some barriers that you think would lead to not happening?
It would be premature to say that we could accomplish the underground option that was presented to us by the city staff and the engineers. We're still actively reviewing it through engineering and both environmental at this time. We received it last Wednesday, and it's still under environmental review and engineering review.
Okay.
And we have a follow-up meeting, I believe, Ara, next Wednesday to continue that conversation. I did want to answer the question Kit had. The box loop design is designed for the homes from the staircase at Ladera Linda all the way up until the gated point right before the entrance to the landslide area. So none of these 4 solutions would solve for those 3 homes in the corner. We currently have that under review with our engineering team. That would be a separate engineering project. So none of the 4 solutions resolve that issue at this time.
Got it. That was actually my follow-up question, but you answered it. Any other questions from council members? Deliberation? Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to say? You're on mute again.
Sorry, I was sneezing. I'm in favor of staff recommendation, so.
No comments?
No.
Councilmember Parasam, thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm gonna jump on this bandwagon of undergrounding and provide a little historical context for this. In the early 90s, as a resident of Seaview, we actually attempted to underground all of Seaview at that point in time. And the rules are probably different. The driving force at that point in time was the view and the non-view side. Now it's a much more critical public safety perspective. But we tried this. So, and that was not the first attempt. In the 70s, there was an earlier attempt as well to underground it. So I'm fully supportive of George's discussion on this and the Mayor Pro Tem's. Anything we can do or extend that while we're working this neighborhood, I think that needs to be looked at and baked in any plans to undergrounding. This has been a long-term goal of this community. Thank you.
Councilmember Ferraro.
I noticed you said 6 months versus the 3 that we have in our recommended agenda. Do you really need 3 more months? Or can we stick with our 3 months here?
I would highly recommend 6 months to allow our team the ability to thoroughly vet the suggestions brought to us by the city.
And I would concur. I know the way the agreement was originally signed, it said it enabled SCE or the city to request 1 or 2 3-month extensions, but knowing that what's involved in reviewing the plans, and we just presented our alternatives to SCE last week. And the agreement also says that it not only has to be reviewed, but also has to be constructed. I don't think any of it would be constructed in 3 months. I think 6 months would be a fair, unless you want to receive a report in 3 months, I would then recommend a 6-month extension.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Because I know you said 6 months and everything we have in our agenda says 3. But I'm willing to make that motion and change the 3 to 6 months if.
So we have a motion on the table at this point. Can I get a second? So just to correct that, it'll be staff's recommendation, but with a 6-month extension.
Correct. I mean, that's my motion.
Thank you. So
I
can
would
get a
second that.
Roll call?
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Ferraro,
Yes.
Councilmember Peristam,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seo,
Yes.
Mayor Bradley.
Yes.
Motion passes. With that, we can move to our future agenda items.
Any council members have any future agenda items? Councilmember Lewis.
Yeah, in consideration of our impassioned residents' comments earlier tonight, I think it would be worthwhile for us to at least ask staff to draft a letter to the assessor's office and for us to consider 2 weeks from now. We're not committing to send it, but we're having it prepared in case response has not been warm yet from our mayor's outreach and Mayor Pro Tem's outreach, city manager's outreach. If it continues to be sluggish, I don't see any harm in us being on record advocating for our residents to be treated the same as other residents in the county. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why they need to go slow at the assessor's office, but we've seen that they can go fast when they need to. Maybe we just prepare that because 2 weeks from now will be March 8th. 18th, closing in on the tax deadline.
We can certainly do that. My takeaway from the comment was for me to go ahead and send the letter
Yes.
out now.
Yeah, please.
Right.
It's time sensitive.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
So,
Yeah,
and
okay.
we'll send that out this week.
Okay, agreed. Withdrawn then.
Thank you, Ara.
Councilmember Farrar, anything?
No.
Mayor Bradley, anything?
No.
Councilmember Person. I do have one ask. I've been getting a lot of inquiries, emails about cell phone and the service and updates and things like that, from the community. If we can just get a quick update about what's happening with cell phones, wireless, facilities, et cetera. Thank you, appreciate that. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Are these city council oral reports?
Mayor Bradley, you want to start us off?
Sure. Hold on a second. Let me bring that up. I wasn't expecting to go. Ah.
I could start with somebody else if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me get my stuff. Thanks.
Councilmember Ferraro, anything?
Just, you and I had a meeting with the people from
Land Conservancy.
Land Conservancy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing really urgent came out of that, so we'll meet again.
Yes. Councilmember Parasam.
Thank you. Couple of topics. One, on February 18th, the CHOA quarterly meeting took place, participated in that with Mayor Pro Tem. We were featuring Ralph Grippo from the facility there that hosted, and I was actually thanked him for his contribution to the Thanksgiving meals, which is a very, very big event for that community. On the 20th, participated again with the Mayor Pro Tem and the Mayor, the Public Safety Town Hall. And on February 26th, the Mend the Bend dinner. And the reason I'm bringing this one up is because somebody said something to me, and a person I know quite well, and they had just had their power restored in the last 10 days. And I said, how's it going? What's different? And they said, and I quote, said, I smell better. I'm taking more showers and I'm leaving my TV on 24 hours a day. And I just thought that was such a great statement for the impact on people's lives. And so I wanted to just bring that up and pass that along to everybody. February 28th, Cal Cities, the legislative agenda for this session coming up. Always interesting with the electeds at the state level and the county level. There seemed to be a glimmer of hope, unfortunately, through the fires to talk about rebuilding and density. That seems to be working its way into the discussion at the state level. It's a high price to pay to get that back on the table. But we'll be hopeful on that. That was a concern. And finally, last Saturday with Councilman Lewis and the mayor, the Rolling Hills Riviera HOA event, which is always interesting because they always come with something different to eat and a different cul-de-sac to have it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
Yeah, that was a pleasant morning at Rolling Hills Riviera, and did get some good, generally positive comments from the constituents there, and those issues that they registered with me, I tried to bring into tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate the things that Councilman Parasam and Councilman Lewis said. In addition to that, I did participate in the South Bay COG meeting on February 27th with the other cities talking about the priorities for the South Bay COG and for homelessness for LA County, which was an interesting discussion. But moving forward on that, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate that. Just for myself, all the city council members covered everything that I was going to talk about, and we were at the same meeting. So thank you very much. I don't have anything else. If there's nothing else, I'll adjourn this meeting at 8:11.
If I may.
Oh, yes,
If
Madam
we could
Clerk.
adjourn to Monday, March 17th for city council goals.
Right. We will be adjourning to March 17th at 6 p.m. for our workshop. Thank you very much.
And good night.